The 2021 MLB season is almost here, and I'm so excited to see the Dodgers and the Padres duke it out in the NL West. And also, I want to see if Mike Trout can get back to the playoffs. I want to see if Bryce Harper can play like 2015 MVP Bryce Harper, because if they do, these power rankings, the first best all the way down to the worst team in Major League Baseball, I'm pretty certain that you guys can predict who the best and the worst is, because it's pretty straightforward. But without further ado, let's go ahead and react to MLB.com's power rankings, the best team all the way down to the worst. The worst team in Major League Baseball. This is a gimme. The Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, they traded away Joe Musgrove, Jamison Taillon, Josh Bell. They are in full rebuild mode, and they're by far the worst team in Major League Baseball, so it's no surprise that they're at the 30 spot. Next up, we have the Rockies, who haven't signed a free agent since 2018, so that alone is quite embarrassing. But then you add the cherry on top, Nolan Arenado, and $50 million traded away to the Cardinals in exchange for a few prospects that may or may not pan out. I'm usually the guy that doesn't like trading a superstar because they've already made a name for themselves. You're guessing if you're trading for top prospects. Now, some of them are surefire, but then again, Byron Buxton, he was ranked as the #1 prospect for a full decade, and he never really panned out. So Pirates and the Rockies at the 30 and number 29 spot. The Orioles are not the worst team in baseball. Trey Mancini, he's coming back healthy. They also have a young kid named Dean Kramer. I believe that he is going to be really good coming out of UNLV. So far, 30, 29, and 28. I don't have any disagreements, but maybe the Rangers. To be honest, I don't think that the Rangers are going to be better than the Orioles. They've traded away Lance Lynn. Sure, they got Chris Davis back in the Elvis Andrus trade, but aside from, I mean, who is in their rotation? I can't really tell. Kyle Gibson, I mean, he was decent in 2020 if he even played. I don't remember. If you're a Rangers fan, please let me know in the comment section down below. But they've also lost Mike Minor, so I would say the Rangers are actually going to have a worse record than the Orioles going into 2021. The Tigers are a very sneaky team. They were able to sign Robbie Grossman. They picked up Renato Nunez, and that young rotation has a chance to be really good to elite in the next few years with. You have Screwball, you have Casey Mize, Spencer Turnbull is really good. I mean, back in the day, Michael Fulmer, I believe he won Rookie of the Year. The sky's the limit for him. Just ever since he was injured, he has not been the same pitcher, but they can be a sneaky team. However, the Twins and the Royals and the Indians, I believe that they're going to be just as good. So the Tigers, I mean, putting them at number 26, it just makes sense. The Diamondbacks, why are they ranked so low? I mean, they still have a squad. You're talking about guys like Carson Kelly, Luke Weaver, you have Ketel Marte. All three of those dudes were pretty good in 2019, so as long as you can get a bounce back season from those three guys and Madison Bumgarner, who was awful his first year in Arizona, I believe that they could be a top 20 team. So the Diamondbacks, they can be a sneaky team going into the next season. Let me know if you think that their 25th spot is deserved or undeserved. The Seattle Mariners, I'm going to say this right now, currently constructed, they are not better than the Diamondbacks, especially when you consider that the Mariners are still kind of rebuilding. Their former president said that they're not going to call up Logan Gilbert, who has a 2-point-something ERA in his first 100 or so innings in the minors, so he's been a beast. They also have Julio Rodriguez and Jared Kelenic. So if they called up all three of their top prospects, to me, they would soar in the rankings. But for right now, I mean, they did sign James Paxton. They did go out and grab Ken Giles. They're getting back Mitch Haniger, so maybe 24 is a little bit underrated, but I do believe that the Diamondbacks have a higher ceiling, at least for 2021, unless the Mariners call up their top prospects, because they're going to ball out. I mean, you basically have the next Grady Sizemore and Kelenic, and then Julio Rodriguez, I mean, he's getting comps to JD Martinez, but a more athletic JD Martinez. So if that happens, along with Kyle Lewis out in center field, I mean, that outfield is going to be ridiculous. The Royals, their lineup on paper actually looks pretty scary. You've added Carlos Santana, who was a stud in 2019, Andrew Benintendi. Yes, he's had his downs, but he's also had some really high ups. He can be a superstar left fielder, in my opinion. That's why they call him Benny Biceps. They've also added Mike Minor. So to me, the Royals can be sneaky, just like the Tigers in that Central. It's not wide open per se, because we'll talk about the White Sox in a moment, and the Twins, they've progressively gotten a little bit better over the offseason, but I do like the Royals and their additions. So to me, putting them at 23 makes sense considering their track record. But at the number 22 spot, the Giants, I truly think that the Giants are underrated. To me, they are better than the Marlins because they were one awful call away when Austin Slater was at the dish from making the playoffs. When everyone wrote them off, including myself, they had an amazing offseason by picking up Alex Wood and a bunch of relief pitchers. they're good. I like the Giants. And then the final squad I want to talk about in the kind of below average teams in this tier, the Miami Marlins. Now, the Marlins, they aren't going to have a good chance in that division. Sixto Sanchez is going to be a beast. Brian Anderson has been a monster. Garrett Cooper, you have Jorge Alfaro. They have a young team, so because of that, maybe 2022, 2023, that might be the time when they fully arrive. But again, like I mentioned, the other teams in their division, they're gonna account for a lot of losses, and I think that they're worse than the Giants. That's just my opinion. But then again, the Giants are in the same division as the Padres and the Dodgers, so it's kind of a toss-up. Top 20, we have the Cincinnati Reds, the Red Sox, the Phillies, the Angels, the Cubs, the Indians, the Nationals, the Brewers, the A's, and the Cardinals. So let's go ahead and break down some of those teams real quick, and then we'll go ahead and try and scramble them and see if one team is better than the other. The Reds, they still have a nasty rotation. I love TJ Antone. He had some of the worst run support in all of baseball in 2020, so if he's getting run support, if Eugenio Suarez and maybe Aristides Aquino, they play like 2019 version of themselves, they can be scary, especially with Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray. I do believe that the Reds can be pretty sneaky. The Red Sox, they're getting back Chris Sale. Hopefully Eduardo Rodriguez is fully recovered from having COVID, because if you did not know, he ended up getting myocarditis, which if you're a baseball player and someone that is firing 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, you're going to have your heart beating at 100% capacity. So it was really scary, but I'm pretty certain that he's back and healthy. The Red Sox at 19, I mean, that makes sense after what they did just a year ago. The Phillies are ranked 18 after re-signing JT and Didi. They went out and got a few relief pitchers like Archie Bradley and Brandon Kintzler from the Marlins. So while they are better, I do think that they're going to be just as good as the Red Sox, so that makes sense. But right here, 17, the Angels. I mean, yes, their rotation is not that great. With Andrew Heaney and Dylan Bundy, we don't know if Bundy's going to be able to duplicate his success. Shohei Ohtani is throwing 90 over in spring training, so he's looking to be healthy. So if they can get a healthy Shohei Ohtani and maybe a 3.5 ERA from 2 out of 4 of their starting pitchers, they could probably push for a playoff spot. But when you have Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, you have Max Stassi, who's actually really good against lefties, and then Kurt Suzuki can maybe come in against righties. For whatever reason, I really have high expectations for the Angels, but their general management, they're just not, they don't believe in pitching. I don't know what it is. They did get Raisel Iglesias, but then they lost Hansel Robles. So, I mean, the Angels at 17, okay. The Chicago Cubs are one of the more confusing teams on this list because they still have Javier Baez, Anthony Rizzo, you have Nico Horner, Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras, so many guys. Ian Happ is a stud, but again, their question marks are massive. Is Chris Bryant going to revert back to MVP Bryant? Is Javier Baez going to be the guy that he was El Mago in 2019, or maybe it was 2018 when he almost won MVP? We have no idea. Their rotation is very suspect because they've lost John Lester, Jose Quintana, Yu Darvish. I mean, yeah, Alec Mills is nice. He threw a no-hitter, but he is no ace. So the Cubs, of all teams on this list, are my favorite to really leapfrog a bunch of different teams, because if Bryant and Baez have big seasons, they're going to be one of the better teams in the National League. And also, that division, it's not very good. The Cleveland Indians, or the Cleveland Blanks, however we want to call them or refer to them as, to me, it's really tough because I expect Cleveland to be in the top 10 every single year, because ever since Terry Francona took over, he has the most wins in the American League. And you still have Plesac, Tristan McKenzie, you have Shane Bieber, Aaron Savali, and then you replaced Francisco Lindor with Ahmed Rosario and Andres Jimenez. So combined, maybe defensively and offensively, you can combine them and equal Francisco Lindor. I'm not sure. The Nationals at 14, yeah, because Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg are the real deal, and that lineup is looking very, very good with Juan Soto, Trey Turner. Trey Turner might be the most underrated player in baseball. You have Josh Bell at first base, so to me, the Nationals are looking very scary. I would rank them above the Brewers, so the Brewers should not be at 13. Who did they sign to make them scary? Maybe they're expecting Christian Yelich to be a beast yet again, an MVP candidate after falling off in 2020. But I will say, the Brewers can be sneaky because Corbin Burns bursted onto the scene just a year ago, and also Brandon Woodruff, he's a monster. He can also swing the bat a little bit, so because the DH is not coming back to the National League, that's something to keep in mind as well. The A's, The A's always find a way to win, just like Cleveland. A lot of people say, oh, they're cheap, but for whatever reason, they've pretty much made the playoffs the last few years. They find good players in the draft with Matt Chapman and Matt Olson. And also, even though they lost Liam Hendricks, their bullpen right now might be better than a year ago with the additions of Sergio Romo. They traded for Adam Kolarek. They re-signed Yusmeiro Petit. So, I mean, even though Hendricks is gone, they're going to be pretty solid, and I do believe that the A's are better than the Brewers, the Nationals, and Cleveland. But the Cubs, again, the Cubs at 16, the Angels at 17, those are two squads that could be pretty sneaky. The Cardinals at number 11, that is probably where they should be. Arenado is going to be a beast in that lineup. He does like hitting in St. Louis. However, the weather is going to be a little bit weird, but a lot of people are saying Arenado cannot hit on the road. Do we not know that the hangover effect is a real thing if you're a player for the Rockies? Because the elevation is so high in Colorado. When you start traveling around, your body gets fatigued so much faster. So when you're on the road, you're not playing how you would because the elevation is so much more different. It doesn't really compare. So you can't say Arenado is going to suck because DJ LeMahieu has been a beast in New York. The one team that I'm having trouble with is actually in the top 10. So we have the Astros, the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Twins, and the White Sox. We'll save the top 5 for the end of today's video. But the one team I'm really worried about is the Rays. They've lost Charlie Morton and Blake Snell, the two guys that threw most of the postseason innings in 2020. I don't really see how they're in the top 10. I would actually rank the Cardinals as the number 10 team, and then I would move up the Astros, and the Rays would actually fall out of the top 10. That's probably blasphemy considering they just made the World Series, but that was because of Charlie Morton and Blake Snell and Randy Arozarena. 3 guys essentially brought him to the promised land. So Arozarena's back, but the other 2 guys, they're non-existent. They're on different teams. The Astros do make sense at number 10 because Verlander, he might not be back until the All-Star break. We have the Blue Jays at number 8. I would actually rank the Blue Jays right now over the Twins at number 7, and then the White Sox. The White Sox at number 6, that is pretty tough because they're absolutely loaded. But because of how good the teams are in the top 5, the White Sox are just barely missing the cut. So the top 5 teams in Major League Baseball, according to MLB.com, we have the Mets, the Braves, the Yankees, the Padres, and the Dodgers. So number 1 absolutely makes sense. The defending world champions. I know they almost lost to the Braves and they came back down 3-1, and then the Braves actually got better by signing Charlie Morton. So to me, putting the Braves at number 4, honestly, I mean, the top 5 are all kind of, honestly, the top kind of 6 teams are all a toss-up to me because the White Sox are going to be so much better with Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert breaking out and Tim Anderson still balling out. They've added Lance Lynn and Liam Hendricks, so that right there is disgusting. The Mets, they've added Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco, so I understand why they're in the top 5, but the Braves, I would actually rank the Braves ahead of the Yankees right now, so it would go 3 NL teams. You have the Dodgers, the Padres, and then the Braves. And then the Yankees are just a little bit better than the Mets, in my opinion, just because if Luis Severino is back and healthy, the Yankees are going to have a really good chance of making it to the World Series because Garrett Cole, a healthy Corey Kluber, Luis Severino, that bullpen is disgusting, and that lineup, it's really hard to compete with Clint Frazier as your maybe 6 or 7 hitter. But that is the top 30 teams, starting off with the Dodgers, ending with the Pirates. Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. The sneakiest teams and the teams that might be underrated, at least in my opinion, the Diamondbacks at number 25. I believe that the Angels and the Cubs at 16 and 17, they can shock a few people. The White Sox at number 6. I truly believe that with their additions and their youth, along with the fact that Michael Kopech and Garrett Crochet are going to get a ton of innings, those are 2 huge pieces coming back. And then also the Rays at number 9. That might be the only team, along with the Rangers at number 27, that might be ranked a little bit too high. But the Rangers, I mean, they're going down 1 spot, just a little bit worse than the Orioles. Actually, now that I think about it, the Rangers might be worse than the Rockies as well, because the Rockies at least have Freeland, Herman Marquez, and John Gray. So that does it. The Twins are going to be good. They've signed a few pieces. The Blue Jays with George Springer and Kirby Yates and just a bunch of different guys. I like what they did. The Astros are still scary. The A's are the A's. Their Moneyball approach will never go away. And then Cleveland with that rotation, Cubs with that lineup, the Angels with Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and a few other key pieces. I don't know. That's the list. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your list in the comment section down below. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.